After breaking up, I had a memory-erasing procedure, sold my house, changed my number, and cut everyone off. 5 years later, I returned to Jingbei, only for a stranger to drag me to a party asking if I was back to reconcile with Fei. Yui, he said she went crazy after I left crying over my things every night. Baffled, I told him I didn't even know who they meant, and that I was already married with a kid. Immediately, all eyes fell on a woman in the corner, her wine glass shattered on the floor, veins bulging on her forehead as if she wanted to kill someone. I was just bewildered. Amidst the chaotic chatter, I finally pieced together why she broke down. 10 years ago. I was supposed to marry Jiang Feiyue, my love of 2 years, but right before the wedding, my mother ran off with another man, and news of my father's death left me with millions in debt and an underage brother, Shen Feng. I postponed the wedding to raise him. But on the day of his coming-of-age ceremony, I caught Jiang Feiyue pinning him against the wall, the two embracing passionately. My cake crashed to the floor. I slapped her, but Shen Feng shoved me down the stairs. Feiyue rushed me to the hospital and stayed by my bed. She said, "That kiss was just an accident. It won't happen again. He's your brother, so don't be mad at him, okay?" I laughed. "You're only saying this because you're afraid I'll kick him out." She kept squeezing my hand. "Juncheng, I know you're furious. It's fine, I'll stay with you until you calm down." I pulled my hand away and turned my back on her. She sighed behind me, treating me like a spoiled, immature child. Suddenly her phone rang. I heard Shen Feng's voice clearly. "Feiyue, I'm so lonely at home. Can you come back? I didn't mean to push Big Brother, but I hated seeing him hurt you." She whispered some comforting words to him, then turned to me. "There's an emergency at the office. I'll be right back." Then she bolted. She never returned during my entire stay. Visitors came in endless waves, but they all sung the same tune, begging me to forgive Shen Feng. My friends and colleagues looked at me with heavy judgment. "Xiao Feng is just a child. No matter how bad his mother was, you can't blame him. You're his big brother, his only family left. If you shut him out, he'll have absolutely no one." Hearing my close friend Qin Ming preach like this made my blood run cold. I had never mistreated Shen Feng. I even scraped together tuition to send him to high school abroad. He took half of my father's love. And now I was expected to hand over my fiancée too. In a daze, the nurse wheeled me in for the memory erasing procedure. Afterward, she warned me that some temporary memory loss was completely normal, telling me to rest well and remember my next appointment. I nodded, writing everything down in my notebook. As the treatments went on, I knew I would gradually forget more things. So I started listing every single task. Flipping through, I saw 2 things written in bold red ink at the top. First, remove Shen Feng from my household registry. Second, break up with Jiang Feiyue. I vaguely recalled completing the registry transfer before my treatment, so I headed back home. Opening the door, I found Jiang Feiyue and my friends celebrating Shen Feng's 21st birthday. "Happy birthday, Xiao Feng," they sang. With teary, joyful eyes, he hugged Jiang Feiyue tightly. Then one of my friends noticed me and coughed. Once they realized I was standing there, the entire room fell dead silent. After a tense pause, Jiang Feiyue asked awkwardly, "Juncheng, you're discharged already? You should have told me. I would have picked you up." I stared at this woman I'd been with for 10 years. The hospital was restless. I'd rather be home. A heavy awkwardness settled over the room. My friend Qin Ming stepped in to diffuse the tension. "Juncheng, you're just in time. Today is Xiao Feng's birthday." Feiyue asked us to keep it a surprise. We all chipped in for a gift, and since you're his older brother, you should hand it to him. He shoved a delicate little box into my hand, but it slipped and crashed to the floor. Inside was a delicate glass bracelet, now shattered. Shen Feng's eyes welled with tears instantly. "Big brother, do you still hate me? It was an accident. I didn't mean to..." Seeing him about to cry, everyone rushed to comfort him, shooting accusatory glares my way. "It's Xiao Feng's birthday. Can't you just let him have one happy day?" I watched their mouths move in silent accusation. Standing right in the center, looking at me with utter disappointment, was the woman I'd loved for 10 years. Jiang Feiyue picked up the box and pushed it back into my hands. "Just give it to him again. You two brothers should sit down, have a meal, and talk. There's nothing you can't resolve." Her voice was soft, but she was squeezing my shoulder tightly. "No need," I said. "We won't be living together anyway." As they gasped, I added, "In fact, I only came back today to move out." The sudden silence was shattered by Shen Feng. His eyes welled up. "Brother, are you kicking me out, Feiyue? You promised you'd explain everything to him. He still doesn't believe me." Jiang Feiyue patted his head comfortingly, her jaw tight as she glared at me. Qinming pleaded for him. Come on, Juncheng. Xiaofeng is still so young. Where will he go if you kick him out? I looked at my old friend. When he was scammed out of his life savings, I was the one who gave him my own savings so he wouldn't end up on the streets. Back then, he hugged me in tears, calling me his best brother. Now he stands against me, defending a kid who kissed my fiancée. My heart went cold. Qin. Ming, no matter how close we are, this is my family business. Besides, I'm selling this house. Before I could finish, Jiang Feiyue snapped, Enough! Juncheng Qinming is just speaking the truth. Xiaofeng is your brother, and this house belongs to him too. She consoled him while glaring at me. Honestly, you're just bitter about what happened between us. You refuse to believe any explanation. But he's just a kid. If you're angry, blame me, not him. The others stayed quiet, but their judging eyes spoke volumes. Qinming scoffed, Let's take Xiaofeng to a hotel. We can celebrate somewhere else. It's such a buzzkill here. We need to wash off this bad luck. Under their glares and snide remarks, a wave of cold anger washed over me. Are you done talking? If so, get out. This is still my house. As if anyone wants to stay. If not for Xiaofeng, we wouldn't even cross this threshold. You're just jealous that Xiaofeng is more popular than you. An old man trying to compete, how pathetic. I saw Jiang Feiyue freeze for a second, but she didn't turn around. She silently led him out, slamming the door behind them. I could hear Shen Feng's fading cheers. Thank you, Feiyue. You guys are the absolute best to me. Soon silence returned. I stood alone in the empty living room, staring at the untouched birthday cake. Then my phone buzzed. 2 notifications popped up. One was from Jiang Feiyue. I was a bit harsh earlier. Don't take it to heart. We have plenty of time. The other was for my next memory erasing session in 2 weeks. After that, I would forget everything. I'd take the house money, move to a quiet, scenic town, and start over. I only replied to the nurse. Cleaning up the ribbons on the floor, I realized Feiyue was wrong. The moment she kissed Shen Feng, we had no future left. After packing, I had the real estate agent over. He took photos and uploaded the listing, then hesitated. Mr. Shen, this place is prime real estate. If you aren't in a rush to sell, you could get a much better price. I just smiled and shook my head. No need. After he left, I sat on the sofa staring blankly. Most of my belongings were already boxed up and in storage. The apartment was hollow. Beside me was the rocking chair Grandma loved, and in the bedroom, the handmade desk was gone, leaving only a chair. Even our photo was packed away. Grandma, I'm leaving. Please don't be mad that I couldn't keep the house. Suddenly my phone buzzed. It was a text from Jiang Feiyue. You left your cufflinks at my place. When are you picking them up? I clicked the picture. It was the 10th anniversary gift she'd bought me. I calmly replied, just keep them there for now. Then I fell into a deep sleep. When I woke, Feiyue was sitting by my bedside. Seeing me open my eyes, she spoke hoarsely. You're awake. I wanted to see you and bring these over. I didn't get up, just took them and tossed them on the nightstand. Thanks, but you didn't have to come so late. She shook her head and held my hand. These are different. They remind me of all our memories. We've survived so many storms. It's really not worth freezing each other out over a silly fight. I pulled my hand away, exposing the prominent bruises and needle marks, yet she ignored them completely. Xiaofeng is having a hard time at the hotel. Let me go with you to bring him home, okay? Home to where Feiyue? I told you I am selling the house. Why are you suddenly selling it? What's going on? I already told you on Shen Feng's birthday. I am moving out. She stood up slowly. Then rest up. I'll go check on Xiaofeng. Once her footsteps faded, I got up and deleted her fingerprint from my door lock. I didn't sleep at all. I woke up dizzy and bumped into the nightstand, sending the cufflinks crashing down. Worried they'd broke, I checked them carefully. Finding no damage, I unlocked my safe. I decided to gather every single gift Feiyue had ever given me and put them in storage. I'd courier them to her when I finally left. Soon, the agent called with a buyer. Once the papers were signed, the money cleared. I moved into a nice hotel, other than going to my treatments. And taking walks, my life was peaceful. The late autumn sun was warm, and I spent hours in the park. Feiyue and Shen Feng seemed to have vanished from my world. I finally found absolute peace, until my phone rang. Feiyue's voice was incredibly cold and frantic on the line, demanding I come to the hospital immediately. When I arrived, the entire crowd was gathered around the ward. Feiyue turned to look at me, her eyes overflowing with sheer disappointment. Tell me why you treated Xiaofeng like this. He has depression, yet you sent people to terrorize him at his hotel. Jiang Feiyue's grip on my shoulder sent a sharp, agonizing pain through me. Helplessly, I gasped. I haven't even seen him lately, let alone known about his depression. And, I only found out today myself, and you're still lying. Do you have any idea Xiao Feng almost died? Only then did I notice Shen Feng hiding behind Jiang Feiyue, trembling. I tried to see what was wrong, but he suddenly shrieked, screaming for me to stay back. He frantically grabbed whatever was nearby and hurled it at me. Before I could dodge, something struck me right in the forehead. Blood poured from a deep gash. Jiang Feiyue instantly shielded Shen Feng, roaring at me, "Get out, don't you dare come near him." I took a deep breath. Clutching my bleeding wound, I stumbled out of the room. Through the glass, I watched Jiang Feiyue tenderly bandaging Shen Feng's hand. Everyone comforted him, saying the bad guy was gone. Shen Feng slowly relaxed, clinging tightly to Jiang Feiyue, who held him close and gently patted his back. I turned away, called a nurse, and asked for some bandages. While she was treating me, Jiang Feiyue walked up. "Does it still hurt? Is it serious?" She reached out to check my wound, but I instinctively recoiled, avoiding her touch. Before she could speak, I looked her in the eye. I didn't do anything to Shen Feng. The thugs who caused the scene already pointed the finger at you. Who else could it be? Did Xiao Feng make it up to scare himself? My breath caught. If that's what you believe, I can't stop you. I came today because I have something to tell you. We're not done talking. Before I could finish, Qin Ming rushed over, panting. "This is bad." Xiao Feng woke up, didn't see you, and had a total breakdown. Without a single word of hesitation, Jiang Feiyue spun around and bolted back toward the ward. Watching her retreating back, I whispered a silent goodbye. In 9 days, I would undergo my final treatment. Then I would forget everything completely and permanently. I turned and walked away, ready to cut ties with a 10-year relationship and put an end to my painful, turbulent past. But before I could even leave the hospital, someone grabbed me from behind. Before I could struggle, a sharp pain struck the back of my head and everything went black. When I woke up, the harsh hospital lights blinded me. I looked down to find myself tightly strapped to a gurney. The door clicked open and Jiang Feiyue slowly stepped inside. She stared at me with a conflicted expression. Juncheng Xiaofeng's mental state is severely shattered. The doctors say his chances of recovery are slim. You should experience what his therapy feels like as compensation. Without another glance, she signed the consent form the doctor handed her and strode out. I watched in horror as the doctor approached me with a sneer, holding electroconvulsive therapy paddles. He slowly pressed them against my temples. Then came the sudden, violent jolt of electricity. A scream ripped from my throat. I tried to thrash, but I was pinned down. I wanted to scream curses to demand answers, but I had absolutely no strength left. When the next shock hit, my body convulsed uncontrollably. Tears streamed down my face. I told myself to just hang on. I would be leaving this place soon. 7 days later, they finally released me. Dazed and numb, I barely reacted when Jiang Feiyue appeared. She softly called my name and draped a coat over my shoulders. "Juncheng, let's go home." My face remained blank. I threw the coat to the ground and shook off her hand. Opening my mouth, my voice was a raspy whisper. "Go away, Jiang Feiyue. I never want to see you again." She stared at the coat on the floor, her expression troubled. "Every action has consequences. I couldn't just let you bully your brother. But I will make this up to you, Juncheng." Just then her phone rang. She glanced at the caller ID and quickly answered. Shen Feng's voice echoed through the speaker. Feiyue, where are you? I woke up and couldn't find you. I'm so scared. Are you going to abandon me like Mom, Dad, and Big Brother did? I have a business meeting I can't skip, but I'm coming back right now. I clearly heard Shen Feng's voice from the receiver. Feiyue, I'm really terrified. I know I'm on my way. Hanging up, she stared at me, hesitating. Just go back, I said. I can hail a cab myself. Seeing my utter indifference, she opened her mouth to speak, but remembering Shen Feng's breakdown, chose to rush back to the hospital. I took a taxi straight to the clinic for my final memory erasure session. As I closed my eyes, the nurse spoke gently. Relax, Mr. Shen. This is your last treatment. I hope this is the last time I see you here and that your future is filled with warmth. I said nothing, as the anesthesia dragged me under. A single tear slipped down my cheek. Through a haze, someone was calling my name. I blinked open my eyes to see a nurse. Mr. Shen, you're awake. How are you feeling? I stared blankly for a moment before it slowly clicked. I had undergone memory erasure therapy. I was in a clinic. The nurse gently helped me up and handed me my follow-up medication and a notebook. Mr. Shen, you can rest here for a bit. It's completely normal to feel a bit disoriented right after the procedure. She guided me to a lounge. Sitting there, my mind felt incredibly hollow, as if a vital piece of me was missing. I tried to remember, but found nothing. Resigned, I picked up the notebook. As I opened the notebook, a sudden wave of aversion washed over me, yet curiosity pushed me to read on. The pages recorded various details of my life, but the name that appeared constantly was Jiang Feiyue. We had met, fallen in love, faced intense family pressure, and eventually got engaged. But on the very last page, the rest of the entries vanished, leaving only a single line. I broke up with Jiang Feiyue. It's a release for both of us. I can finally leave. The words held a sense of profound closure. Although I didn't know the exact reason, I figured that ending a relationship of so many years meant this Jiang Feiyue must have deeply hurt me or pushed things to a point of no return. After thanking the nurse, I left. Back at my hotel, I recalled the notebook's entry about starting over elsewhere. Without hesitation, I chose my grandmother's hometown of Liaocheng. I booked a flight and a hotel room, checked out of my place, and set off with nothing but a single light suitcase. I dragged my suitcase behind me, completely free of any attachments. Just after I left, a haggard-looking Jiang Feiyue rushed into the hotel lobby. She bolted to the front desk and asked desperately, "Excuse me, is a guest named Shen Juncheng staying here?" "Yes," the clerk replied. Relief washed over her face, but the clerk's next words shattered it. "He just checked out and left." "How long ago? Which exit did he take?" The clerk pointed toward the doors. She ran out, but all that met her eyes was a sea of strangers. I was nowhere to be found. She rushed to my apartment only to find the fingerprint lock no longer recognized her hand. Bewildered, she pounded on the door, shouting, "Juncheng, it's me. I know you're still mad at me, but please give me a chance." Suddenly the door swung open. Her heart leaped, but a strange girl poked her head out, eyeing her warily. "Who are you?" Stunned, she took a step back to double-check the apartment number. It was correct. In a panic, she asked, "Excuse me, where is the person who used to live here?" "Shoot." "Oh, the previous owner. He sold us the apartment and left. No idea where he went, though. He mentioned moving to another city." Jiang Feiyue's worst fears had come true. The girl shut the door, leaving her standing there utterly hollow and lost. She dragged herself home in a daze, only to be greeted by a bouncing Shen Feng. "Feiyue, you're finally back. You have no idea how long I've been waiting. Where did you go?" Staring at the cheerful boy before her, her heart felt completely numb for the first time. She used to think I was too independent, stubborn, and quiet, while Shen Feng's bright energy was the only thing that could soothe her exhaustion. But now, seeing Shen Feng's beaming smile, she felt absolutely nothing. Her mind was entirely consumed by me. "I went to see your brother. What did he say? Did he forgive me? I was worried he'd still hold a grudge over what happened. Does he blame you? I've caused so much trouble. Knowing his temper, he won't let it go easily. Should I apologize?" "No need," Jiang Feiyue muttered. Her cold response sent a wave of panic through Shen Feng, who clenched his fist tightly. "What's wrong? Did I cause you trouble?" Jiang Feiyue exhaled slowly, feeling as if the strength to even speak had been drained from her. "Juncheng is gone." "Gone? Where to?" Tears welled in Jiang Feiyue's eyes. "He left this city. He didn't leave a single word behind. Juncheng abandoned me." Her bottled-up emotions finally ruptured. Tearing down her composed facade, she broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. Watching the weeping woman, Shen Feng felt a surge of triumph. His thrill was impossible to contain. He practically trembled with excitement. That eyesore of a brother was finally gone, completely vanished from their lives. From now on, Jiang Feiyue would look only at him. He would finally become her rightful partner, perhaps even her husband. But Shen Feng's joy was short-lived. My departure had stripped away all of Jiang Feiyue's vitality. Yet contrary to Shen Feng's hopes, Jiang Feiyue didn't redirect her affections toward him. Instead, she spiraled downward at an alarming pace. She turned to heavy drinking, neglecting her company. Even when she did show up, she smelled of alcohol. Every evening, she either wasted away in bars or bought crates of liquor to drink herself into a stupor at home. The once brilliant executive was completely gone. In her place stood a broken woman with hollow eyes and a shattered spirit. Under the pretext of taking care of her, Shen Feng quickly moved into her apartment, trying to coax her back to reality with warmth and gentleness. But Jiang Feiyue barely noticed him. Lost in a drunken haze, she would drift between sleep and consciousness, repeatedly murmuring the name she had lost. "Juncheng. I'm sorry. Juncheng, come back. Please come back." One night, she was brought home dead drunk by her friends yet again. Shen Feng helped her onto the bed. Staring at her unconscious body, he listened to her call my name over and over. Standing by the bedside, a dark, calculated look crossed Shen Feng's face as a desperate, insane idea began to take shape in his mind. He left the bedroom, went to the living room bar, and poured a glass of water. Then carefully, he pulled out a small paper packet containing a white powder. He emptied it into the water and swirled it gently, watching the crystals dissolve instantly. Taking a deep breath, he carried the glass back inside. "Feiyue, drink some water. It'll make you feel better," he said softly, lifting her limp body. Parched and disoriented, Jiang Feiyue swallowed the water in one gulp. Shen Feng watched her intently. A flicker of triumph and anxiety flashed through his eyes. He had to have her tonight. Once it was over, Jiang Feiyue would be his forever. But the very moment his fingertips touched her skin, Jiang Feiyue's eyes suddenly snapped wide open. Her gaze was unfocused at first, clouded by alcohol and drugs, but as her vision cleared, she realized who was in front of her. It wasn't the face she desperately longed for. A wave of disgust surged within her. "Get out!" she snarled. Summoning all her strength, she violently shoved Shen Feng away. Caught off guard, he stumbled back, staring in shock as she struggled to stand, her dazed eyes filled with pure, icy rejection. When he tried to approach, she snapped, "Don't touch me. You will never be him." Without another look, she stumbled into the bathroom, slamming the door. Listening to her retching, Shen Feng stared at the locked door. As color drained from his face, a wave of deep humiliation and utter defeat washed over him, turning into boiling rage. He hated her coldness, but he hated me even more. He finally realized that winning her heart was virtually impossible. Inside, her painful retching went on for a long time before falling silent. Exhausted, she had probably collapsed inside. He stared at the locked door. All hope left his eyes, replaced by a desperate, dangerous resolve. A sinister plan quickly took shape. Days later, she was rushed to the hospital with severe stomach bleeding, completely fragile and broken. Shen Feng entered her room tightly, clutching a manila envelope. She lay in bed, pale and hollow-eyed, staring at the ceiling. In just a few days, she had grown so gaunt, she was barely recognizable. "Feiyue," he whispered, his voice trembling. She didn't even blink, ignoring him completely. Stepping closer, he held the envelope in front of her face. "I received a package. It's from my brother." Hearing those words, her eyes finally flickered, slowly focusing on the envelope. "What is it?" her voice rasped. Shen Feng choked back a sob, acting as if it took everything to speak. "It's my brother's final belongings." She jolted, her pupils shrinking. Snatching the envelope, her trembling hands pulled out 2 thin sheets of paper. The first was an official death certificate, name Shen Juncheng, cause of death, a fatal fall. Anchuid, resulting in severe brain trauma and multiple organ failure. The date was just days before her hospitalization. Location, Weitu Cliff. Her breath caught her blood, instantly freezing in her veins. She stared at the paper. "No, it can't be. How could he—" Trembling, she picked up the second sheet. It was a letter in my handwriting. She knew me too well. She recognized my penmanship instantly, though it looked weak and fragile. "Feiyue, when you read this, I will already be gone. Don't cry for me. This is a release. I've been so tired these 20 years. Love or hate, I've let it all go. But my only regrets are you and Xiaofeng. I'm sorry, Feiyue. I was too stubborn, too silent, and I pressured you too much. I don't blame you for what happened with him. He is young and bright, a far better fit for you. Now that I'm gone, my only wish is for you to look after Xiaofeng. He's my only brother, my only family left. Our parents failed him, and I failed to be a good brother. He's insecure, and now he's sick. I just can't leave him like this. For the sake of our 10 years together, please take care of him. Fulfill my final wish. Don't look for me. Let me go in peace. Be happy. Juncheng." The letter slipped from her hands, drifting onto the white sheets. It was as if her bones had been removed. She collapsed onto the bed, staring blankly at the ceiling. Silent tears flooded out instantly, soaking her pillow. She made no sound, but her massive, silent grief filled the room, suffocatingly heavy. After a long silence, a raw, beast-like howl finally tore from her throat. She curled up like a trapped, wounded animal, sobbing in despair. "Juncheng, why—" she cried incoherently over and over. Regret and agony slammed into her like a tsunami, draining her of all strength. All her fight, all her resistance dissolved in an instant. She stopped crying, just lying there, silently. Her eyes were hollow black holes, as if her soul had vanished with that suicide note. From that day on, she stopped drinking, took her medicine, and tried to recover. But she had changed completely. She became quiet, the light gone from her eyes, moving like a living corpse fulfilling an obligation. She began caring for Shen Feng, giving him everything and letting him stay near. But her eyes held no warmth for him, only a heavy, numbing burden like carrying a cross. Her only purpose in life seemed to be fulfilling my final wish. And just like that, Shen Feng succeeded in binding her to him. He enjoyed the luxurious life she provided, gradually acting as her fiancée in public. But he knew he only had an empty shell. All her love, pain, and soul had been buried along with that forged letter. With his wicked lies, Shen Feng had built a freezing cage imprisoning both her and himself. The turning point came after a business gala. Because of a crucial project, she had been forced to drink heavily. Her tolerance wasn't what it used to be, and weighed down by sorrow, she quickly got heavily drunk. Shen Feng arrived to take her home. The next morning, she woke with a blinding headache, reaching out blindly. Her hand brushed against warm skin. Her eyes flew open, her heart sinking. Beside her, Shen Feng lay fast asleep, holding her tight. The sheets were a messy tangle, the room smelling of intimacy. As her mind went blank, trying to piece together what happened, the door gently opened. Xiaofeng, we're here. The door was unlocked, so we just came in. We brought... Qin Ming's voice cut off. He and his friends stared in shock. At the sight of the bed, the gifts slipped from their hands. Startled awake, Shen Feng pulled the blanket over her, shielding her with his body. In his eyes, however, was a faint trace of smug satisfaction. She froze, watching their shock turn into a complex look of understanding and congratulations. Every word of explanation died in her throat. Caught red-handed, there was no way out. Qin Ming sighed and stepped forward. Feiyue, look, since it's already come to this, Xiaofeng is devoted to you. You can't let him down. Yeah, he waited so long, and his big brother left him in your care. You two belong together. Their voices fell on her like heavy chains. A sickening sense of inevitability choked her. Closing her eyes, she took a deep breath, and when she opened them, only dead resignation remained. I will consider it, she said, her voice dry and emotionless. Shen Feng had finally gotten his way. He insisted on a grand wedding, wanting to show everyone he was her rightful husband. She didn't object, fulfilling his request like ticking off a checklist. On the wedding day, bells rang. Dressed in a luxury custom suit, Shen Feng smiled broadly, leading her down the flower-strewn aisle. Below the altar, Qin Ming and their friends clapped enthusiastically, their faces beaming with joy. Standing before the priest, her empty gaze drifted into the void. Her mind wandered. Once, she had imagined her wedding with me countless times. She had pictured how touched and happy I would be seeing her in her wedding dress. How I would excitedly hold her warm hand, exchanging rings and lifetime vows. Yet the man beside her now was Shen Feng, and the cheering guests were the very friends who once celebrated her and me. What a cruel twist of fate. Jiang Feiyue, do you take Shen Feng to be your husband, to love and cherish him in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, until death do you part? The priest's voice pulled her back. She paused, feeling Shen Feng's anxious gaze and the heavy silence of the room. Parting her lips, she finally forced out 3 hollow words, I do. It sounded like a final death sentence for all her past love and hope. When the noisy wedding ended, she dragged herself back to their new home, a lavish villa chosen by Shen Feng that she despised. Meanwhile, Shen Feng was in the living room eagerly chatting with Qin Ming and the others about the wedding. She had no interest in joining. Heading upstairs, she stopped at the landing, hearing hushed but smug voices from below. It was Shen Feng, slurring slightly in pure relief. Ming, I'm so happy today. I finally beat Shen Juncheng. Everything he owned is mine now. Yeah, you really pulled it off. Though it was a close call. If you hadn't faked that depression and forged that letter, she couldn't hear the rest. Faked, depression, forged letter. Those words exploded in her mind like a lightning strike. Her blood ran cold as she froze, holding her breath. Stepping closer silently, she heard Shen Feng sneer, his voice dripping with malice. Why should Shen Juncheng compete with me? My parents' love is mine, and Feiyue is mine too. I paid a fortune to get that death certificate and letter made. They looked so real, you should have seen her face. She looked like she wanted to die. Ha, she actually believed I had depression, but thanks for backing me up, Ming. Oh, don't mention it. Just don't forget me, now that you're her husband. Of course I'm her husband now. That bastard Shen Juncheng is probably rotting in some ditch, or maybe he's actually dead. Either way, he'll never stand in my way again. Whatever they said next, she couldn't hear a thing. Standing in the shadows, she felt 1,000 knives piercing her heart. Her entire world collapsed. The depression was fake. The death certificate was fake. The letter was fake. Even that night's incident was a meticulously planned trap. She had been a total fool, manipulated in the palm of his hand. For a fake final wish, she had betrayed the man she loved most, even marrying his tormentor. Knowing I might still be alive, suffering in silence somewhere while she was here with my enemy, Inside, a grand wedding is underway. Suddenly, a copper taste surges up his throat, and Jiang Feiyue spits out a mouthful of blood. Swaying, he barely clings to the wall. With bloodshot eyes, he slowly looks up at the smug groom in the living room. His gaze is icy and ruthless, like looking at a corpse. The wedding cheer still lingers, but in the corner of this luxury villa's staircase, a storm is brewing. For their honeymoon, Jiang Feiyue planned everything perfectly, taking them to the Maldives. They stayed in a luxury private overwater villa, enjoying the pristine sea and sky. Jiang Feiyue gave Shen Feng everything he wanted, showing meticulous care. Completely lost in this bliss, Shen Feng gazed at Jiang Feiyue's beautiful profile. Basking in his warmth, Shen Feng's smugness overflowed. He whispered in his heart with a twisted sense of victory, "Mom, do you see that woman lost to you back then, and now your son has beaten hers? We are the ultimate winners." He even began to think that Jiang Feiyue's obsession with me was only because I died at the perfect time, making me an idealized fantasy. If I were still alive, he would never stand a chance. The honeymoon ended in Shen Feng's smug bliss, and on their first day back, Shen Feng met up with his friends in high spirits, maxing out Jiang Feiyue's card on seasonal fashion. By evening, he returned to the villa loaded with bags. Taking his shopping, the servant whispered with a tense look, "Mr. Jiang is back waiting in the living room." Shen Feng paid no attention, assuming Jiang Feiyue was just eager to see him. He bounced into the living room. "Feiyue, I'm back. Look what I bought." His voice cut off. The warmth instantly vanished. Jiang Feiyue was not sitting on the sofa waiting for him like usual. Instead, he stood with his back turned, staring out the massive French window. Shen Feng's smugness vanished instantly. A dreadful premonition, cold as a snake, slithered around his heart. He called out again, his voice trembling with a hint of uncertainty. "Feiyue." Jiang Feiyue slowly turned around. His face was entirely blank, but his eyes were like poisoned ice blades stabbing straight at Shen Feng. They burned with a suffocating, tangible rage and disgust that Shen Feng had never witnessed before. Intimidated, Shen Feng took a step back. Without a word, Jiang Feiyue walked to the coffee table, picked up a thick manila folder, and slammed it violently in front of Shen Feng. The loud slam made Shen Feng flinch as a cascade of photos and documents spilled across the table. Jiang Feiyue's voice was ice-cold, vibrating with a barely suppressed, explosive rage. "Explain." Shen Feng's eyes fell upon the scattered files. With just one look, his face turned paper white. Those photos laid bare every single conspiracy he had plotted and every lie he thought was perfect. Shen Feng felt the room spin as all strength was instantly drained from his body. He stumbled, looking up into Jiang Feiyue's merciless eyes, which seemed ready to tear him apart. He stammered, clawing for a final lifeline. "No, Feiyue, let me explain. These are all fakes. Someone is trying to frame me." Jiang Feiyue let out a harsh laugh, filled with bitter mockery and sorrow as he closed the distance. "Fake Shen Feng, did you have fun playing me like a fool, using a forged suicide note to make me marry trash like you out of sheer guilt? Kanbin and Squaresat driving away the one I loved and making me believe he was dead, and you still dare call it fake." Shivering in terror, Shen Feng couldn't utter a word. He knew he was finished. His painstakingly built life was over. Everything had collapsed. Jiang Feiyue's voice sounded like a trapped beast, each word wrenched from his throat in bloody agony. "Why did you lie to me, Shen Feng? If not for you, Juncheng would never have left. I would never have lost him." His eyes were bloodshot, his chest heaving. The accumulated regret, fury, and humiliation of being played nearly broke his sanity. Yet after the initial terror, seeing Jiang Feiyue so utterly broken by the truth, a sudden malice flared up in Shen Feng. He knew begging and acting were pointless now. Snapping his head up, his eyes turned wild. "You blame me, Jiang Feiyue. How can you lay all the blame on me? Wasn't every single bit of this enabled by you? You didn't push me away when I first hit on you. You chose to believe me when I threw myself down the stairs to frame him. You abandoned him for me whenever he needed you. You faltered but wouldn't admit you wanted to enjoy my youth, my worship, and my passion. Now you pretend to be devoted, throwing all the blame on me. Jiang Feiyue, your hypocrisy makes me sick." His words were like poisoned daggers stabbing right into Jiang Feiyue's deepest guilt. The dark truth he refused to face. He couldn't deny it. He had allowed Shen Feng to cross the line, greedy for temporary comfort. "Shut up," he roared, trying to stop the accusations. But Shen Feng, seeing he had struck a nerve, grew bolder. With a twisted grin, Shen Feng continued to twist the knife. "Do you know what's most pathetic about Shen Juncheng? Even now, he probably thinks you willingly chose me and loved me. He is just like his useless mother. And Dawnei Sisik, and enduring everything silently without a fight. He deserved to be abandoned and left with nothing. He is a pathetic loser, and so are you, Jiang Feiyue." Jiang Feiyue erupted into a violent roar filled with unbearable pain and rage. He couldn't take another second of this torture. He stared at the twisted face of the man who had destroyed his entire life with Juncheng. Absolute fury and a destructive urge swallowed him. He wanted him silenced. He had to pay to feel every ounce of pain Juncheng had endured. Jiang Feiyue inhaled deeply, forcing down his agonizing rage. His eyes settled into a chilling calm, but beneath lay a dark, consuming abyss. Pulling out his phone, he dialed. His voice was completely devoid of warmth. "Come inside. Take him to Dr. Li." He emphasized the doctor's name. Hearing it, Shen Feng froze before screaming in absolute terror, cold sweat breaking out. He tried to crawl away, but it was too late. Two expressionless bodyguards grabbed a limp Shen Feng, dragging him out ruthlessly. "Jiang Feiyue, you bastard! You'll burn in hell, Feiyue. I was wrong. Please forgive me." Shen Feng's screams and curses faded away, dying out beyond the villa gates. Left alone in the vast, freezing living room, Jiang Feiyue knelt down and slowly picked up my library photocopy from the floor. Stroking the blurry, familiar name, he whispered in a cracked, broken voice, "Juncheng, I'm so sorry, I was a fool." He thought making Shen Feng suffer would bring redemption, but deep down he knew the truth. Some wounds can never heal, and some mistakes can never be undone. He lost me, he pushed me away with his own hands. Meanwhile, the sky of Liaocheng was a clear blue I had never seen before, smelling of pine needles and damp soil. It was so different from the exhaust and concrete of the city. I rented an old house with a courtyard on the edge of town featuring an ancient birch tree. Every morning, birds woke me, and I opened my window to distant misty mountains. I lived like a local, buying fresh vegetables at the market and learning to pickle cabbage from my neighbor. I occasionally flipped through my old diary, but reading about Jiang Feiyue and Shen Feng now felt like a stranger's story. It didn't stir a single ripple in my heart. I love this peace, no longer living to please others, fearing abandonment or drowning in bitterness. My soul feels washed clean by the mountains of Liaocheng, open and serene. A gentle voice inside always reminds me, "Shen Juncheng, this is the life you deserve." The town is quiet and slow. My savings are decent, but they won't last forever. I needed to find a way to sustain myself. I decided to find a job to blend in and earn a living. Strolling along the cobblestone paths, I found a guest house called Northern Lights Inn. It sat facing a vast meadow with a view of snow-capped mountains, but the lobby looked deserted. The sign was weathered. Pushing the door open, I saw a woman in a thick sweater behind the desk, frowning at her computer. She looked to be in her late 20s, her face worn with the stress of a struggling business. Hearing the door chime, she looked up and froze. Strangers were rare here, especially a young man with a refined, striking presence. She stood up and politely asked if I needed a room. I shook my head and smiled warmly. "Hello, I didn't see a help wanted sign, but do you need an extra hand?" The owner, Bai Qing, sized me up with surprise. "What can you do?" I replied gently. "I used to manage projects and business operations in the city. Your location and amenities are great, but the marketing and guest experience could use some polishing." Bai Qing raised an eyebrow. Her business had been struggling for 2 years, and she knew nothing about modern marketing. So she decided to give me a shot. I redesigned our booking page, took stunning photos, and made hand-drawn maps for guests. I even utilized the courtyard for nightly bonfires and stargazing events, turning the empty space into an experience. Though quiet, I was highly organized, which brought a reassuring energy to the place. Seeing her booking calendar slowly shift from empty gray to patches of red, Bai Qing looked at me with deep appreciation and gratitude. The turning point came in late autumn when a rare once-in-a-decade active aurora cycle hit the town. Dreamy ribbons of green and purple light danced across the sky. I seized the opportunity, working late to launch a campaign. We focused on chasing the northern lights, reaching out to travel bloggers to brand us as the ultimate viewing spot. Watch the aurora from your bed at Northern Lights Inn was an irresistible hook. Within days, the quiet town was flooded with tourists. Being fully prepared, our inn was booked solid with wait lists stretching 2 months out. Bai Qing was rushed off her feet while I managed operations from guest check-ins to organizing nightly events. I even cooked when we were shorthanded. Though exhausted, I had a healthy glow and bright eyes, feeling the profound fulfillment of self-worth. As the peak season passed and we tallied up the quarterly profits, the amount actually exceeded our B&B's total revenue since the very day we opened. That night, Bai Qing called me out into the courtyard and handed me a thick envelope. "Juncheng," she said, "this is your bonus for the quarter. Honestly, without you, I don't think this place would have survived the winter." "Thank you." I smiled, taking the thick envelope. I looked up at the sparse but brilliant stars scattered across the night sky, feeling the deep satisfaction of a reward earned entirely through my own hard work. A genuine relaxed smile spread across my face. Actually, I need to thank you too, Bai Qing. You gave me this job. Here I'm not anyone's fiancé, nor am I anyone's big brother. I am simply myself. Relying on my own hands and mind, I have truly built a life for myself in this quiet border town. I've finally found my own peace, along with a small sense of achievement. A cool breeze swept through the courtyard, bringing a chill, but leaving me feeling incredibly sharp and free. The future ahead of me felt just like this town's night sky, cold, yet full of quiet hope and peace. Before the craze of the aurora season had even fully faded, another wave of excitement was already quietly building. It started with a photographer who had traveled here just to shoot the northern lights. While capturing our bonfire night, he accidentally aimed his camera at me and Bai Qing. In the warm glow of the dancing flames, my head was tilted slightly as I listened to her speak, a gentle, genuine smile on my lips. My expression was soft and peaceful while Bai Qing looked at me with an unconscious, tender focus in her bright eyes. Behind us sat the deep, midnight blue sky and the inviting, warm glow of our lodge. The composition and mood of the shot were absolutely perfect. That photographer he named the photo Aurora's Warm Light and submitted it to a famous travel photography magazine. It unexpectedly won an award and went viral instantly. Comments flooded in, the dream B&B owner and his wife, this vibe is absolutely breathtaking. What is the address? I am definitely going there next. I need to vacation there to soak in those magical vibes. Netizens everywhere were deeply moved by the peace and warmth in that photo. Our Aurora Light B&B, along with Bai Qing and myself, unexpectedly became overnight viral sensations. The small town, which was already buzzing with eager tourists because of the northern lights, now saw a massive influx of new visitors. Many did not even care about the aurora itself. They came solely because of that viral photo, wanting to experience our warm, cozy atmosphere in person. Facing this sudden surge of guests and attention, Bai Qing and I had to work even more closely together. Together, we figured out how to streamline our services, handle media interviews, and accommodate more guests without losing the unique charm of our lodge. Spending day and night together, I could clearly feel that Bai Qing's feelings for me were becoming harder for her to hide. She began showing it in subtle ways. Knowing my stomach was sensitive, she silently warmed a cup of milk for me every single morning. When I stayed up late sorting files, she quietly placed a reading lamp and sliced fruit beside me. And whenever guests playfully teased us, saying we made a perfect couple, her ears would turn red, though she never denied it. Instead, she would just steal a quiet glance at me. My once frozen heart, surrounded by the pure northern sunlight and pristine snow of Liaocheng, and nurtured by Bai Qing's clumsy yet genuine care, was slowly beginning to melt. I soon realized I was changing. I found myself looking forward to seeing her busy figure every single morning. Whenever we finished a task in perfect harmony and shared a smile, a sweet ripple would stir in my heart. I stopped resisting the feeling and began to respond. When she handed me my warm morning milk, I would softly say, "Thank you." When she worried I was working too hard, I assured her I was fine. Occasionally, I even shared local folklore about Liaocheng that I had heard from my grandmother's stories when I was a kid. Bai Qing noticed my change, and the light in her eyes grew brighter and warmer each day. She became even more driven. Soon, our massive surge in visitors caught the attention of the local government. The mayor himself led a team to inspect our lodge, praising our B&B's business model for boosting the entire town's tourism economy. I immediately seized this golden opportunity, relying on my extensive previous experience. I drew upon the project management and strategic planning skills I had built in the big city. Combining that with my deep understanding of our local resources, I submitted a comprehensive proposal to the town government for a specialized Aurora-themed cultural tourism route. My plan was structured, exceptionally clear, and highly practical. Backed by solid data and high feasibility, it received enthusiastic approval from the town officials. Very quickly, the local government decided to partner with our Aurora Light B&B to launch this new travel route. Bai Qing took charge of managing the local resources and handling all of the on-the-ground execution, while I focused on the overall planning, marketing campaigns, and external relations. We made a brilliant team, and our collaborative effort quickly made the tourism line an absolute triumph. Thanks to our hard work, this once quiet and nearly forgotten border town began to blossom with an entirely new, vibrant energy. The border town was suddenly filled with unprecedented life and vitality. While its popularity soared, its original peace and simplicity did not vanish. Instead, they beautifully blended with a thriving, inviting warmth. Standing in our courtyard, looking at the growing lights of the town nestled against the distant, majestic, snow-capped mountains, and listening to the mixed laughter of tourists and locals, I stood right beside Bai Qing. I felt my entire heart overflow with a deep sense of accomplishment and quiet happiness. "Juncheng, thank you so much for coming here," she murmured softly. I reached out and squeezed her warm, soft hand, holding it tight. I looked up, with the brilliant starlight and distant town lights reflecting in my eyes, and smiled. This town was no longer just a temporary refuge for escaping my painful past. It was a new world, a new life that I had personally helped build, and this silent, gentle woman standing by my side was the warmest, most grounding presence in this new world. My relationship with Bai Qing grew like spring in Liaocheng, the ice, melting naturally, life, slowly returning everything, coming together with a quiet warmth. There was no dramatic, earth-shattering confession. Instead, on a quiet evening, as the sun went down, the two of us stood side by side after checking our newly developed hiking route. Walking back, Bai Qing naturally reached out and took my hand. I paused for a brief second, then relaxed and held her hand back. The warmth of her fingers said everything we needed to say. From that day on, our lives felt completely soaked in sweetness. We ran the lodge together, designed new travel routes, and welcomed travelers from all over. In our free time, she would take me deep into the grasslands on her motorcycle to see the blooming wildflowers. When I was working at my desk, she would silently place a cup of my favorite osmanthus tea beside me. My smile grew, and a more frequent carrying a deep, relaxed happiness that made my whole being glow with a soft light. I had almost completely forgotten my dark, fog-shrouded past. My old journal lay forgotten and gathering dust at the bottom of a trunk. This town, our Aurora Light Lodge, and Bai Qing, they became my entire beautiful reality, making up the entirety of my real and happy present. Until one afternoon, right after a fresh autumn rain, when the sky looked beautifully washed and clear, I was sitting under the courtyard pavilion, chatting with a few long-term guests and explaining our upcoming winter events. Inside the main house, Bai Qing was busy, checking the accounts while the wind chimes jingled softly. Suddenly, the heavy wooden door of the lodge was pushed wide open. A figure stepped inside against the afternoon light, carrying an undeniable heavy air of exhaustion and gloom. Subconsciously, I looked up, my smile lingering as my eyes locked directly onto hers. Time seemed to completely freeze in that instant. Her eyes were cold complex, and filled with a wild mix of disbelief, sudden ecstasy, and a deep, bottomless regret. It was indeed Jiang Feiyue. She stared at me almost greedily, searching my face, only to find an unfamiliar, distant look in my eyes. Peace and warmth. Her heart seemed to be squeezed by an invisible hand, the pain so sharp she could barely breathe. She spoke hoarsely, her voice trembling slightly. "Juncheng," she whispered, taking a slow step toward me. Instantly, the pleasant chatter under the pavilion completely died down to a heavy silence. Our guests looked curiously at this powerful-looking stranger who had suddenly appeared. The smile on my face slowly faded. I stared back at Jiang Feiyue with a flicker of confusion, struggling to identify her like a blurry shadow from an old dream. The lingering, strange side effects of my memory erasure therapy made me feel completely detached from her. Feel a strange sense of detachment from this face that should have been unforgettable. My chest didn't ache as I might have expected. I just felt mildly annoyed at being disturbed. Hearing the commotion, Bai Qing stepped out of the house. She immediately noticed Jiang Feiyue and saw how my brow was slightly furrowed. She immediately stepped forward, standing quietly by my side in a naturally protective, supportive stance. Bai Qing's calm, steady voice broke the heavy silence. "Are you looking for a room, Miss?" Jiang Feiyue's intense gaze finally shifted away from my face, landing squarely on Bai Qing. For a brief moment, the two women's eyes met in midair, a silent tension filling the courtyard. Ignoring Bai Qing entirely, Jiang Feiyue locked her gaze back onto me with a desperate, almost obsessive urgency. "Juncheng, I have been looking for you for so long. Please come back home with me." I looked straight at her, my eyes clear, yet filled with a sharp, unmistakable distance. I gently shook my head, my voice calm to the point of being cruel. "Miss, you must have the wrong person. I don't know you. This place is my home, and I am not going anywhere." The word miss pierced her heart like a cold, sharp needle. An overwhelming wave of despair and panic flooded over her. She had searched tirelessly, enduring absolute agony, just to locate me. Now, after all that suffering, all she got was a casual, indifferent, "I don't know you." Sensing my discomfort, Bai Qing reached out and gently took my arm, speaking to Jiang Feiyue directly. "Miss, if you are not staying at our lodge, please do not disturb my guests or my fiancé." Jiang Feiyue's body swayed violently, her face instantly draining of all color. "Fiancé," she echoed hoarsely. She stared at me desperately, trying to find even a single trace of pretense or recognition on my face, but she saw only me leaning slightly closer to Bai Qing, a gesture of absolute trust and complete reliance. The cold autumn air of Liaocheng felt like sharp knives slicing through her lungs, and this sudden confrontation completely shattered our border town's hard-won peace. Yet Jiang Feiyue still did not pack up and leave. Instead, she rented a room at a small nearby inn, pacing like a stubborn, trapped beast who refused to accept reality. She simply could not believe that I had forgotten her, erasing the 10 whole years we shared. Determined to wake my memory, she began trying everything to prove our past. She pulled out her phone, flipping through old photos and showing them to me one by one. There we were traveling together, celebrating birthdays and holding each other outside a temple where she had made a wish. In those pictures, I was smiling warmly by her side. But looking at them now, my eyes held only detachment. I felt a mild confusion, as if I were looking at a stranger's life. Those images failed to stir even a single ripple in my mind. My heart remained completely calm. "Juncheng, look," she pleaded. "This is the cufflink I gave you for our 10th anniversary. You didn't wear it, but you kept it safe." But I simply shook my head, polite yet completely distant. "Ms. Jiang, I am truly sorry, but I really don't remember." She went so far as to contact the monk who once predicted I would be lonely forever, recording a video of him to prove she had bowed at every step, praying for my happiness. Seeing the younger, devout version of her in the footage, I only sighed softly. "Ms. Jiang, let the past stay in the past. What you are doing now is only disrupting my life." My quiet peace was the ultimate unspoken cruelty to her. All her frantic efforts, her desperate confessions, and all her painful memories felt like punching a cloud, silent and entirely ineffective. It only made her look like a pathetic soul trapped in the past, unable to move on. Bai Qing remained by my side through it all. She never tried to stop Jiang Feiyue, but instead stood with me in silent, firm, and solid support, shielding me. She would bring me hot tea, gently reminding me to rest whenever I showed the slightest sign of exhaustion. Watching our effortless, unspoken chemistry and seeing how completely relaxed and secure I felt, beside Bai Qing, Jiang Feiyue felt her own heart freeze, turning cold inch by inch. She realized she wasn't bringing me salvation, only pure exhaustion. Finally, on a quiet night under sparse stars, I walked over to the inn and found her sitting on the stone steps, looking utterly haggard. My voice was calm as it cut through the chilly night air. "Ms. Jiang," I said, "let's talk." Jiang Feiyue looked up, eyes bloodshot, clutching a final shred of hope. We sat on cold stone benches in the inn's tiny courtyard. I didn't beat around the bush. "Ms. Jiang," I said directly, "I underwent memory erasure therapy to forget some incredibly painful things. My notebook has some fragments, but to me it's just someone else's story from a past life. I can't feel the love you talk about, nor the hate." I paused, looking at the warm lights of our guest house in the distance, my tone growing soft but firm. "I'm happy now. Bai Qing and I are doing great. This life brings me peace and contentment. It's everything I want, so please let go." I turned to him, looking at him with clear eyes. "Stop trying to wake up the past. Even if I remember, the pain will just come flooding back. Is that what you want?" Jiang Feiyue froze as if struck by lightning, utterly consumed by grief. He was wrong from the start. He thought finding me would make amends, but didn't realize that for me, true peace means forgetting entirely. He bowed his head, shoulders slumping as all his strength and resolve vanished. After a long silence, he let out a faint, deeply exhausted sigh. His voice was incredibly hoarse as he whispered, "Okay, I'll let go." The next morning, Jiang Feiyue left town alone. He didn't try to see me again. Before leaving, he just stared at our guest house from afar. In the morning light, he saw Bai Qing and me standing together in the yard talking. I tilted my head to listen, gently. tucking a stray lock of hair behind his ear. It was a simple, tender moment. Jiang Feiyue took one last look at my face, turned and blended into the quiet morning crowd, never looking back. The ripples he brought were just a pebble tossed into a lake. They would eventually fade. The sky here remains vast. Snow will cover the mountains again, and the aurora will return next season. My story with Bai Qing quietly goes on in this northern town. No dramatic thrills, and just gentle, constant companionship and the cozy, quiet life we build together. The shadows of the past will finally be swept away by the fresh morning sun,